Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sakagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sagitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sakagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Desatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaurabhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Bahunam Janmanam Gyanavan Mam Prapadyate Vasudeva Sarvamiti Sa Mahatma Sudurlabham Vadanti Tat Tattvavidas Tattvam Yajnanamadvayam Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagavaniti Shabdayate Shrinvadam Swakata Krishna Punyashravana Kirtanaha Hridayantastohi Abhadrani Vidunoti Sugratsatam Yate cham sakala pumsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam Indriyari Vyakulam Lokam Hridayante Yuge Yuge Sarvasya Chaham Hridi Sannivisto Matta Smriti Jnanam Apohanam Cha Vedaischa Sarvai Sahameva Vedyam Vedanta Krit Vidyeva
कृष्ण
Cha
शाकुंतला
Param Brahma Parandama Pavitram Paraman Bhavan Purusham Shashvatam Divyam Adidevam Majam Vibhum Ahastvam Rishyas Sarve Devarshir Narda Tata Ashita Devala Vyasa Swayam Chaiva Bravishime Nitya Nityanam Chetanas Eko Bhunam Vitadati Kama Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sharvakarana Karanam. Welcome all. There is a class on Srimad Bhagavatam. So we'll continue from where we left the last class. So far we have completed the 7 chapters. In the 7th chapter, the theme was mainly about how Lord, loves his devotees and how Lord makes devotees to become very intelligent, right? So the biggest thing that we saw was in the sloka number. Let me read the sloka number. So we'll just go to the sloka number 53, 54. Yeah, it's here. So in this sloka 53, 54, Sri Bhagavan Vacha, Brahma Bandhu Nya Hantavya Atatayi Vadharhanaha Mayayivo Bhayam Atma Amnatham Paripahi Anushashanam. So here, if you look at Krishna is telling Arjuna. What is he telling Arjuna? He's saying, A Brahmana Bandhu, that means a friend of a Brahmana, also should not be killed. Okay? Forget Brahmana, he is only talking about Brahmana Bandhu. A friend of a Brahmana should not be killed. But however, if he is an aggressor, what is the meaning of aggressor? Aggressor means one who is influenced heavily by the mode of passion and ignorance, and one who does not have control of his senses, and one who, out of his uncontrollable senses and behavior, cause harm to others. Ashwatthama was an aggressor. When he was being attacked by or chased by Krishna and Arjuna, he didn't know what to do. He just threw this Brahmastra as something as for his own protection. But he did not understand the consequences of Brahmastra because it's very devastating. So he said he must be killed. Then Krishna went on by telling Arjuna, you have to use your intelligence to take the decision. Now, in this arena, we have two parties. We have Yudhishthir, Sahadev, and then we have Arjuna was in the decision making, so he was following instruction. Then we have Draupadi, are all wanting to protect Ashwatthama, not to punish him or kill him, right? Then on the other side, we had
Bhima.
And Krishna himself said, they want to kill him. So you have to respect the Shastra. The Shastra says you cannot kill a Brahma Bandhu. Then you have to also please the heart of Yudhishthira and Draupadi and others by killing him, by not killing him. But you would also please me. You would also please Bhimasena by killing him. So Arjuna, act intelligently. So that's the situation Lord puts Arjuna into. Now you will see this situation happens in our life too, under many circumstances, right? Now the best situation that I can relate this off is to the Damodar Leela pastime. So in Damodar Leela, what happens? Krishna comes to Mother Yashoda and seeks her nourishment, milk, love of mother. So while Mother Yashoda is feeding Krishna, that means she's doing one of the greatest service ever a human being can do in this world, feeding Krishna with her own love. At the same time, what happened in the kitchen? The Padmagandha milk that was kept there, it was boiling. And it was about to get spilled out of the vessel. And the whole objective of the Padmagandha milk was to serve Krishna. So she's already in one service. Now another service which she planned and put all the effort and energy is ready, and if it's not utilized, it will go waste. The milk, if it's not utilized for Krishna service, it will just pour out of the vessel and just go waste. So now you see she's in a perplexed situation. What to do? So she tried her intelligence. What she did, she kept Krishna down from the existing service that she was doing. She went to say the other service and again come back. Her idea was to come back and take Krishna and then feed him again. That was her plan. So you see, even in our real life, in our real life of devotion practice, we'll see that many times we are in the same situation. Oh, should I do this or should I do that? There are two situations, there are two things for me, right? Of course, the first situation is between material and spiritual. We always get baffled with this. Then within spiritual, we may be awarded two services or three services. Okay, how do I do both? Right? So whenever we do whenever such situation comes, what we need to do? We have to take shelter of Krishna. Like Arjuna offered prayers to Krishna. What do I do? So what sloka we recited? Tadami buddhi yogam tam yena maam upayantite. Right? So Krishna, within the heart, as Paramatma, he knows the anxiety of the devotee. So from within, he gives the intelligence. Right? A person who's practicing devotion, he'll be able to understand this intelligence offered by Lord. A person who's not practicing devotion, he cannot understand the instructions of the Lord. So hence he'll ignore it. Right? So that's the greatest difference between a devotee and a non-devotee. And that's one of the realizations that we learn from Arjuna's behavior here. Right? So Arjuna took the clue from Krishna and he accordingly punished Ashwatthama. So that's what we saw in the previous chapter. So now Arjuna, Ashwatthama is punished. He is now, humiliated, where he has to take a decision to live or die. Like that it has become. Okay. So we ended that with that realization. Now, let us go to this chapter, where in this chapter we're going to see what Lord wants the living entities to do here. Now, what the Lord wants his close associates to lead the living entities to a particular destination, right? So that's the key thing that we want to learn in this sloka here. Okay. Now, before doing that, we will also get to the Kunti's prayer, how Parikshit saved, all those things we will discuss. Then we will see how the Lord is executing his plan. How is he really looking for the welfare of the living entities? Okay, so now we move on to chapter 8, prayers by Queen Kunti and Parikshit saved. Okay, text 1. Suta vacha atatte sampraparetanam svanam udakam ichatam dhatum sakrishna gangayam purashkritya yayustriyaha. So in the first few slokas, we're going to see more procedural and things that he wants to do for the welfare of the living entities. Now, well, let's see the translation. Sudha Goswami said, thereafter the Pandavas, desiring to deliver water to the dead relatives who had desired it, went to the Ganges with Draupadi. The ladies walked in the front. So this sloka, it's like, okay, offering oblations. Now, let us look at the difference. It is called the Kuru dynasty, Maharaj Kuru and their disciples or their descendants. So, Maharaj Kuru's descendants are all called Kurus. So, technically, the Kauravas and the Pandavas are all same, right, within the same family only. But however, Dhritarashtra kept on differentiating between my sons versus Pandu sons, my sons, Pandu sons. And hence, you see, the separation in the Kuru dynasty happens where we see Kauravas, sons of Dhritarashtra, Pandavas, sons of Pandu Maharaj, right? So in totality, here the Pandavas are offering oblations to all the dead relatives, not only from their side, but also to the side of the Kauravas. Okay, so that is the sloka about. Okay, let's read 8.2. Te nininyodakam sharve vilapya cha brisham punaha apluta hari padabja rajaputa sharijale. Translation. Having lamented over them and sufficiently offered Ganges water, they bathed in the Ganges, whose water is sanctified due to being mixed with the dust of the lotus feet of the Lord. Now look at it. We are going to Ganges to purify our sins, right? But on the other side, Ganges is looking at this opportunity as Lord and his associates, right? When Lord and associates come to Ganges to take bath, rather than she's offering service, she's getting nourished. She's so pleased. Oh, I'm all the time taking the sins of others, but now it's a great opportunity for me to wash all the sins that I've accumulated from others. So, when the Lord and their associates go to Ganges, Ganges is so pleased. She's overwhelmed. And, she's in that state, and that's what, you see saying. So, whose water is sanctified due to being mixed? The dust of the lotus feet of the Lord. So, she's just waiting for such an opportunity, right? When Lord Krishna was transported or shifted from Mathura to Vrindavan, right? Yamuna also did the same thing. She also raised up to the lotus feet of the Lord, touched his lotus feet. That touching of her to the lotus feet of the Lord purified her entire existence, right? She got purified and she immediately subsided and gave way for Vasudeva to take Krishna to the other side of the bank, right? So it's important. So you see, people are hankering for the lotus feet of the Lord, the dust of the devotees who serve the lotus feet of the Lord. That's why when we say Prabhu, Prabhupada, when we say that, it's a phenomenal meaning. It says you are a great personality because you're serving the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord Vishnu, Prabhupada. So that's why when we say Prabhu to a devotee, it is a remarkable honor and respect to that person. So we should realize that in our heart and then address personalities. Okay, let's go to the next sloka, 8.3. Tatra shinam kurupatim dhritarashtra sahanujam gangarim putra shakartam pritam krishnam cha madavaha. Translation. There sat the king of Kurus, Maharaj Yudhishthir, along with his younger brothers Dhritarashtra, Gandhari, Kunti, and Draupadi, all overwhelmed with grief. Lord Krishna was also there. See, this is something very important to understand from a consciousness standpoint. Now, look at the consciousness of the Pandavas, who are called virtuous, who are called great devotees of the Lord, versus the consciousness of the Kauravas, who are not really devotees of the Lord. Now, see what happened, right? Now, for example, Dhritarashtra kept telling, my sons, my 100 sons versus the Pandavas' 5 sons, right? That's the first chapter sloka also you will get. My 100 sons versus their 5 sons. My 100 sons, their 5 sons. So keeps on distinguishing between them and us. But now look how the Pandavas are reacting. They're offering oblations so that they can reach the highest destination to all the relatives. They didn't distinguish between themselves and the sons of the Kauravas or children of Kauravas, right? So one observation. Let's look at the second observation. Draupadi, when she lost her children, 5 children, she was in real anxiety. She was in, grief, the highest grief. What else a mother can go through the pain to see all her 5 children lost? Right? She was in such great pain. And when they bought the culprit, Ashwatthama, the cause of that death, when Arjuna brought Ashwatthama and make him fall at the feet of Draupadi, the option was very clear to chop the head of Ashwatthama. But what did Draupadi say? No, don't do that. She took examples like, as a mother, how I suffered, I don't want Kripi to suffer. A son of our Guru should be respected as the Guru. So, even though she went through losses, the compassion she had and the understanding of the Shastra she had was phenomenal. She took the pain on her and she still gave relief to Ashwatthama. Okay, but now let's look at Gandhari, how she behaved. She lost her 100 sons in the war. So when Krishna came back to Hastinapur, Gandhari cursed Krishna. She cursed Krishna that your entire clan, your entire community of Yadavas should get destroyed. Right? So look at her consciousness, look at the consciousness of the Pandavas. So you can see when someone is in the path of devotion, when someone is practicing devotion, how does he see? Vidya Vinaya Sampanne, Brahmine Gavi Hastini. They don't differentiate between my versus others and his and things like that. They see all an equality. I have seen in many devotees where Matajis will see their children non-different from another devotee's children. Whatever nourishment, spiritual nourishment they want to give their children, they'll ensure that, within a congregation, they will also take care of other children on same equality. Oh, we should feed that children also. See, this is evolution of consciousness. This is bhakti. And Krishna sees this bhakti. One is self-centered and says, oh, it's me. Like how Gandhari is saying, my children. Versus Draupadi, how she was looking at everyone. Krishna sees that difference and that directly relates to the kind of devotion that we can have in our heart. Right? So Bhagavatam teaches such sensitive and such advanced development of consciousness and thinking. That's why Prabhupada says high thinking is very important, right? And Bhagavatam gives such brilliant explanations. Hmm? Okay, so now let's read sloka number 4. Did we read sloka number 4?
No, Prabhu, 3 only were it.
3 we read, right? Okay. Hmm. Okay, now let's read sloka number 4. Santavyam munibir atabandhum sucharpitam bhuteshu kalasya gatim darshayanna pratikiryam. Translation. Citing the stringent laws of Almighty and the reactions upon living beings, Lord Sri Krishna, the Munis, began to pacify those who were shocked and affected. Right? So we see in Bhagavad Gita many slokas that one who's not bewildered, one who's sober, one who's steady state, one who's dhira, one who's nishta. All these personalities we have seen. One who's in the taking shelter of mode of goodness and the transcendental mode of goodness. So we've seen all these situations where we have understood that one who take the higher taste, the higher supreme energy of the Lord, they are never in distress. They're never bewildered. Draupadi, even though she went through such difficulties, even though Arjuna went through these difficulties of losing his son, they were never bewildered. They gave back. Krishna cried when his son was killed and died in the battlefield. Sorry, Arjuna cried. But Arjuna, even though he cried, he took a vow to kill the person who was responsible for the death of his son. But in no time, he was back into the duty of what Lord Krishna preached. That is important. We may go through tribulations in material life. We may go through disturbances in material life. But we should immediately get back to our duty. Our duty is to work according to the plan of the Lord. Okay. Now, why Lord is saying this? So, for example, if you look at the plan of the Lord, what is plan of the Lord? Is to get back all the souls who have for some reason been placed into this material world, right? Reclaim them back to the spiritual world. That is the plan of the Lord. There's no other plan. The Lord is making all such arrangements. The Lord is making the knowledge. The Lord making the acharyas being sent, great devotees being spent. The Lord is sending His holy name. Lord is sending His Achavikra. Lord Himself is coming and performing these activities. Why? He wants to reclaim the fallen souls back to the spiritual world. That's His only goal. He is not differentiating between you're a demon, you're a devotee, you're a good, you're bad, you're materialist, you're karmavadi. Nothing. He wants all of them to go back. So now, if this is the plan of the Lord, and He is explicitly speaking about this, showing about this, enacting pastimes to demonstrate His goal, certain devotees and associates of the Lord, they assist the Lord in His mission. Right? So here, if you see, Yudhishthir Maharaj, he is clearly assisting the mission of the Lord. Okay, Lord, I know this is your plan, and I will do whatever it takes to help reclaim as many souls as possible back to Godhead. Right? And how Krishna was very merciful. In the Bhishma Stuti, we will see that Bhishma is telling that whoever saw the Lord in the war field and they left their body, be it opponent side or be it this side, whoever it may be, they all attained their Swarupa Mukti. They are attained their original position in the respective Vaikuntha and the Goloka planets. That's what Bhishma is trying to tell there. So you see, Lord is waiting for every opportunity to grant mukti, to give himself to such wonderful devotees. But however, what happens, there are certain However, what happened, there are certain set of devotees like Duryodhana, they are having their own plan. They don't align to the plan of the Lord. So because they have their own plan, they try to control, they put their agenda, they put their rules and regulations, and then they stop the souls from going back to God. So hence you see, they are influenced very strongly by the modes of nature. They are put into greatest illusions. But on the other hand, devotees like Yudhishthir are constantly being nourished and encouraged by the Lord because they're supporting the mission of the Lord. Now, what are the devotees of ISKCON doing? Prabhupada, he realized this truth by the mercy of his spiritual master. He created this entire ISKCON just based on one sloka of Bhagavad Gita. Manmana bhavamad bhakto madhyajimam namaskuru. Just on one sloka, remembering Krishna at all points in time, performing actions that will enhance the remembrance of Krishna is what he did. He created the entire ISKCON movement based on this one sloka. And all devotees, many, many devotees, they joined this movement, support the mission of the Guru, which is in turn supporting the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is none other than the Lord himself. So this is the point. So now we have to understand our real position. Do we want to be in the role of the mission of the Lord, or do we want to be separatist and say, no, no, I'll have my own agenda. I'll do my own things. I'll not help people to do this. So that is when we have such a consciousness, that's when we cause disturbance in the life of devotees. We cause offense. We put them down. We blaspheme them. We do all such things. So one has to realize this theme in this entire reading of Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, let's read further. 8.5. Saditvajatat satraho swam rajyam kitavirhitam Katayitva sato rajna kachasprasha shatayushaha. So, this kachasprasha shatayushaha. Here, kacha means a bunch of hair. Right? Now, let us see what he is trying to tell in this translation. The clever Duryodhana and his party cunningly usurped the kingdom of Yudhishthira. See, they were not fair in their dealing. They cheated Yudhishthira Maharaj and they took his kingdom. Not only taking his kingdom, they humiliated him and his family members. One of the greatest humiliation is Kachasprasha Shatayushaha. What does that mean? Who pulled the hair, held the hair of Draupadi? Dushashana. And how was he given that empowerment? By Duryodhana. And how Duryodhana was so courageous, even though he was not the king, he was only the princess. How did he get that courage to do that without even having the fear of the other ministers and the guru and his father being there? Because they all indirectly supported. So, whoever did this heinous act against the rules of the Shastra, they will be punished. That's what the Lord is trying to tell. And in the course of time, the rules and regulations will act. This is for non-devotees. Hence, Krishna is trying to tell that here now. He says, the clever Duryodhana and his party cunningly usurped the kingdom of Yudhishthira, who had no enemy. By the grace of the Lord, the recovery was executed, and the unscrupulous kings who joined the Duryodhana were killed by him. So that is the whole arrangement of Mahabharata war. The Mahabharata war was not about getting his kingdom back for Yudhishthira. No. The Mahabharata war was to clean up the system. The unscrupulous kings who are the rulers of this world, they need to be eliminated. Otherwise, what will happen? If Duryodhana won the war, for whatever reason it may be, or if Pandavas say, okay, we'll not fight the war, we'll leave and then go away, then Duryodhana's atrocities in this world will increase many, many fold, and the whole world will suffer. Krishna did not want to do that. So hence he said, Adharma has reached its epitome. Be better, chop the head of Adharma. And Krishna performed this war. Others also died during their duration of life, having disease for the rough handling for the hair of Queen of Draupadi. So that means, who pulled his hair? Who instructed him to do that? Who supported this entire event of, Adharma were also killed. That is what the sloka is trying to tell here. Okay. Now let's read the purport, which will tell what are the do's and don'ts from the Shastric point of view. Okay. Can someone read the purport? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
One of you read the purport, please.
In the glorious days or before the advent of the age of Kali, the Brahmanas, the cows, the women, the children, and the old men were properly given protection. Number one, the protection of Brahmanas maintains the
Institution.
One second, Prabhu. Institution of Varna and Ashrama, the most scientific culture for attainment of spiritual life. Second, the protection of cows maintains the most miraculous form of food, that is milk, for maintaining the finer tissues of the brain for understanding higher aims of life. Third, the protection of woman maintains the chastity of society, by which we can get a good generation for peace, tranquility, and progress of life. Fourth, the protection of children gives the human form of the life its best chance to prepare the way of liberty from the material bondage. Such protection of children begins from the very day of beginning a child by
Beginning nine, begetting. Begetting means giving progeny.
Sorry, Prabhu. Begetting a child by the purificatory process of Garbhadarana Samskara, the beginning of our pure life. Fifth, the protection of the old men gives them a chance to prepare themselves for better life after death.
Pause here, Prabhu. Pause here.
Okay.
So what are the 5 things? Who can narrate? What's the first rule? What's the first rule?
Protection of
Protection of
Brahmana.
That is important, not Varna Ashrama Dharma. Protection of the Brahmana so that Varna and Ashrama can be implemented, and that becomes like a system of one's evolution. So, for example, today we have universities and material science. Why we send them to school? The school teaches them 2 things technically. The first is give them the education about this material world. Second, also give them awareness and behavior and moral values and things like that. That means it teaches both, right? So without that, one cannot be a proper gentleman in this society. Okay, so now that is at the material level, but at the spiritual level, one need to practice devotion through a certain method. So one has to go through these varnas and ashrama and accordingly practice so that, we are not affected by the illusionary nature of the material world. And we always align to the rules and regulations of the Shastras. That's the first point. Okay, so what's the second point?
Protection of cows.
Yeah. So if cows need to be protected. Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha Jagaditaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namah. So the go refers to the cows. Taking care of the cows, the pleasing the cows will please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Right? They're very dear to them. So, in whatever action you do, if you do it directly or indirectly, that will protect the cows. Go Rakshak will give once the greatest benediction, that is love of Godhead. So, in our life, what we should do, we should save some money, get some opportunity, somehow take care of the cows. And that is very important. Okay. The third?
Protection of women.
Huh?
Protection of women.
Protection of women. Okay, so why women has to be protected?
They give generation extension.
No, every woman will do. So what's the great deal about protection?
Get good generation of peace.
Just not that, Prabhuji. When women are protected, the chastity is protected. That is important here. The purity of the women. A chaste woman will produce great children, devotee children. An unchaste woman will produce Varna Shankaras. That is important. So that's why it says the protection of women maintain the chastity of the society. That means we will produce good children. Otherwise, we'll produce demonic children, which are burden to the society rather than asset to the society. Okay. Then the fourth?
Protection of children.
Protection of children, no. So you have to explain. You just cannot give that one line word. Why children has to be protected? Why children has to be protected?
So that they can know the aim of life and then prepare their life accordingly.
No, that is not the protection of children. That's not the purpose of protection of children.
Protection of children from not indulging into unwanted activities. So we should protect the children such a way that they should become Krishna conscious children, so that the next generations ahead will be protected.
Okay, so today we have a society. Tomorrow we want to have a nice, rich society. Rich means not just money, rich in all values of life. Okay. Who will determine the richness of the society for tomorrow?
Shrestha.
Huh? Who will determine the richness of the society in the future?
Parents.
No, come on, think.
The
Devotees.
efforts we are putting today.
Children.
Yeah, today's children are tomorrow's future of this society. Is that clear? Today's children are tomorrow's future of this society. If today's children are not protected, then tomorrow's society will be devastated. That is an important point. Right? So, protection of children does not mean you give them just good food. No. Prabhupada says, it starts from Garbhadan Shamskara. When the soul enters the womb of the mother, the soul is purified of its consciousness. Soul is always pure, but the consciousness that gets adulterated. So the soul's consciousness is purified by performing the samskara. Hence, the Garbhadan Samskara for every human being is very, very important. So, from birth, when the child is purified, the child becomes a great asset to the tomorrow's society. Otherwise, the child becomes a burden to the society. So that's why protection of children. The last, protection of, someone tell, which is the last one, fifth one?
Old people, Prabhu.
Okay. So why
So that-
elder people? Yes, Mati, go ahead.
So that they are in a good mental forum and they will they'll be devoid of, they will not enter into the birth and death cycle.
They will not enter into bed cycle. What does, in the previous slokas I talked about, what is the plan of the Lord? The previous slokas I talked about plan of the Lord. What is the plan of the
Take
Lord?
back everyone
Take
to
all of them to
above.
back to
Reclaim devotees. So now, the old age is the faggot of the life. The old age is determination to the next, the realm of life that one is going to enter into. So, if the elders are protected and given them nice knowledge about spiritual life, the Vedic sciences, position of God, the position of themselves in relation to God, and they make them to realize the Lord and go back home, back to Godhead, that is perfection. So, we have the tendency to look at old people as burden, or old people anyway they don't do any service, anyway they don't do this, they don't do it, so why we should care for them? No. This is the plan of the Lord. The soul has to return back home, back to Godhead. If they're nurtured well, they'll go back home, back to Godhead. Remember, we'll also become old. Then who will nurture us? What our consciousness and thoughts as on dead will be continuing at the time of death also. So old people need to be protected. They need to be given all the encouragement and assistance so that they can complete the journey of life. When we do that, when we become old, the next generation will help us to reach the lotus feet of the Lord. So this is important to understand. So does these rules help to understand why we are having a society in this structure and this nature?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. Okay, excellent. So now let's go to the next sloka 8.6. Yajayetvas swamedaistam tribhiruttama kalpahai tat yasha pavanam dikshu satamanyo ivatanot. Translation. Lord Krishna caused 3 well-performed Ashwamedha yajnas. or sacrifices, to be conducted by Maharaj Yudhishthira, and thus cause his virtuous fame to be glorified in all directions, like that of Indra, who had performed 100 sacrifices. Okay, so one is, of course, he is glorifying his devotee Yudhishthira, but importantly, he is performing sacrifices as great benediction and oblation to all the people who left in this great Mahabharata. Right? Okay, now let's move on to 8.7. Amantraya Panduputramscha Sainyayodhava Samyutah Dvaipayananardhibir Viprai Pujitai Pratipujitah. Translation. Lord Sri Krishna then prepared for his departure. He invited the sons of Pandu, and after having been worshipped by the Brahmanas, headed by Srila Vyasadeva, the Lord also reciprocated greetings. So now the war is over. The demonic has been killed. The virtuous king has been reinstated as the king. He has been coronated. And all the people who left their body in this war, Krishna personally instructed Yudhishthira to perform oblations. When a great Vaishnava is performing oblations to them, they all return back to their Godhead. So that is the most important thing. And Lord is expressing his happiness. Okay. Now Lord is telling Yudhishthira, okay, I have come here to perform this great deed. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharat. I've come to perform this and I'm done. And I'm leaving. So Lord Krishna is leaving back to Dwarka. Okay. So he's boarding his chariot and he is leaving back to Dwarka. Now let's see what's happening there. Text 8.8. Gantum Kritamatir Brahman Dwarakam Ratam Astitah Upalebe Abhidhavantim Uttarambaya Vibvalam. Just that when Krishna boarded the chariot to depart to Dwarka, she saw a huge cry from Uttara. Translation. As soon as he seated himself on the chariot to start for Dwarka, he saw Uttara hurrying towards him in fear. Uttara is screaming and running towards him. Oh my Lord, please don't leave. I am in problem. I am in great difficulty. Right? So what is this difficulty? So we'll see that now. Okay? 8.9. Uttaro vacha pahi pahi mahayogin deva deva jagatpate nanyam tvad abhayam pashe yatra mrityu parasparam. She says, pahi pahi, oh protect me. Whom she is asking for protection? Deva deva jagatpate, who is God, God of the goddess, gods of the gods, for this entire creation. The Supreme Lord Krishna. Right? She's directly addressing to him and she's asking for protection. See, now look at the scenario. Look at the devotion of Uttara. Even though all her husbands are great warriors who can do anything with their weapons and their, their chanting of the mantras, she did not seek their shelter. Nor she tried to seek her own shelter to say, okay, I will take care of myself. No, she did not even do that. She straight away came and surrendered to Lord Krishna. Oh, please help me. I feel there's a great danger that is coming in my way. See, this is important. Now, why this is important to understand? Conversation between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Rai. What does the conversation says? He is asking what is considered the topmost of devotion. And there is nothing beyond that. The answer is serving the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna as considered to be the topmost in devotion, nothing else. Okay. Now, if that is considered topmost in devotion, why many people take to lower demigods for devotion or practice of something called spirituality? Why they try to perform many acts of trying to, get what they want and reach out to the demigods? See, the difference between atheist and theist in terms of demigod worship. The atheists have not even surrendered. They have not even accepted someone supreme to them. That's why they're atheists. But the theist here was still doing demigodship are better because they've accepted someone supreme to them who can take care of their life, and they begin the surrender. But still, that surrender is not at all complete. Surrender to the Supreme Lord Krishna is considered complete. So here, that's exactly what Uttara is trying to do. She is calling him, oh, Krishna, the greatest of the mystics. That's how she's telling. She is salivating him. And then she's asking for protection. So look at the translation. She says, Uttara said, O Lord of Lords, Lord of the universe, Deva Deva Jagatpate. Okay, you're the greatest of mystics. Please protect me. She says, protect me from there, for there is no one else who can save me from the clutches of death in this world of duality. Right? Now, this world is full of duality. And because it's duality, we get bewildered. Is this right? Is this wrong? Is this the way? Is this the way? We get confused. So hence it's important to take shelter of scriptures and Guru. Because illusion keeps on attacking us. But when we keep taking shelter of Guru and the scriptures, the illusion is taken away from us. And that's why power of association is important. We may know the story of Agasura. Maybe we heard 100 times. But still, due to illusion, we get deviated and dragged away from the bhakti of Lord. So, but when we hear Srimad Bhagavatam again, when we associate with Srimad Bhagavatam again, when we associate and serve the Vaishnavas again, what happens? The delusion that we've solely dragged out again will come back into the consciousness and we'll practice devotion. So that's why Prabhupada has institutionalized ISKCON in such a way that he brought these regulative principles. Right? So what is this duality she's talking about? Duality means we are associated with two things at any point in time. Okay. As Nitya Siddha, we were only associated with the pure transcendental energy of the Lord, the Yoga Maya potency. Okay. But as living entities in the material world, what is happening? We are getting marginalized. How? We are a spirit soul, but we are taking shelter of Maya, which is material in nature. So hence we see the soul is pure and spiritual in nature, but it is
Prabhu, we can't hear you, Prabhu.
Yeah, Prabhuji, we cannot hear you.
We can't hear you, Prabhu.
Mostly Prabhu got disconnected. Let's wait.
Hare Krishna, not audible, Prabhu.
Prabhu got disconnected. I think he's logging in again. Let's wait for some time.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhu,
Sorry, I got
we're not able to listen to you.
No, I got disconnected because there was some fluctuation in my Wi-Fi router. Okay. So, which is the last one that I uttered? What is the last one uttered?
But
8.9 sloka, Prabhuji. Duality.
What?
Duality we were discussing.
Yeah. So in duality, now what are we possessing? We are possessing a material body and a spiritual soul. See, this also is duality. Okay. So now Krishna is telling, come out of duality. Now, what does this coming out of duality means? Come out of this. Your constitutional position is spiritual, but you have attained this duality position of having spiritual soul, and material body. Hence, Krishna is trying to tell, get out of this duality. So how do you get out of duality? I can't get out of myself, but I need the help of someone else. So we are seeking that Murari, Mukunda Murari, to give me a body which is non-dual in nature. So now the difference between Nitya Siddha and us. Nitya Siddhas are also having a body, but their body is also spiritual and their soul is also spiritual. Hence, there is no duality. And they live in the Vaikuntha planets. But we are having a spiritual soul, but possessing a material body and living in this material world. So, hence, we are beginning with duality there. So, this duality must be eradicated. And that's why she says, who can save me from the clutches of the death, the world of duality? So, Krishna, you are the one who can save me from this death. Because in this world, everything is dual. So, that's the point to conclude out here. Okay, now let's read sloka number 810. Abhidravati Mamisha Sarastapta Yasho Vibhu Kamam Dahuta Mamnatha Mame Garbo Nipatyatam. Translation. Oh my Lord, you're all powerful. A fiery iron arrow is coming towards me fast. My Lord, let it burn me personally if you desire so, but please do not let it burn and abort my embryo. Please do me this favor, my Lord. And look at this. This is called motherly love. We've always talked about Vatsalya Bhav in Srimad Bhagavatam, many stories and many pastimes. Look at motherly love of Uttara here. She says, I don't care about my life, but I want my son, my embryo, to be protected. Even I have to die for the sake of protecting my son, I'm ready to do that. So look at it. You know, a mother is considered to be one of the greatest selfless personality because she gives her life to the child at the cost of oneself. That is why the role of a mother in one's life is phenomenal. And that's exactly what she is trying to tell. What stories can be recollected to show mother's love apart from the Damodar Leela? Anything else can people think of?
So that's why Mahaprabhu also heard Sachi Mata's instruction and stayed near Jagannath Puri.
Okay, that's a very good example. She took instructions of Sachi Mata and said, okay, I'll stay in Jagannath Puri. That's amazing. Good example.
Prahlad Maharaja. Prahlad Maharaja and Kadayu Prabhu.
Prahlad Kadayu, but Kadayu did not play any role. Okay, when Indra came to kill the womb in Kayadu, not Kadayu, it's Kayadu.
Kayadu Prabhu, yeah.
So yeah, she prayed.
Kunti de తీసుకోవచ్చు కదా ప్రభుజీ.
Okay, Kunti. So how Kunti? Yeah, explain that one. How Kunti is a great example.
పిల్లోడికి కృష్ణ ప్రేమ ఇప్పించాలని వాళ్ళు ఎంత
she wanted to protect the children.
Okay, so Kunti is a great example. Let's see what happened to Kunti's life. Now, whenever we talk about Kunti, do we say Kunti is mother of only 3 children, 2 children are part of Madri? Do we ever think like that? No. We always think Kunti has 5 children. Correct? So that is how she never distinguished. She gave so much of life and love for those 5 children. And go back to the scenario. When Pandu Maharaj died, Sati was practiced that time. What is that? That when a great Vaishnava dies, the wife also falls into the fire and she leaves the body. Right? No hesitation at all. So Madri said, okay, I am falling into the fire, I'm leaving the body because I'll go along with my husband to the spiritual world. But Kunti said, okay, even though that is what needs to be done, but I'll stay back, I'll take it as a sacrifice because I need to give my life for my children. Right? So she did 2 great things. One, she did not distinguish between her and Madri's children. First thing. Second thing, she sacrificed her own beneficial situation and then gave that life for the 5 children because they need to be taken care. Right? Yeah, Kunti is a great example. So you see, there are many, many wonderful examples that we can see how mother's selfless love is beyond one's imagination. So in this life, whether they are right or wrong, let us not bother too much about it. Let us repay our gratitude. See, life is all about gratitude. Let us give back our gratitude to people who give us our life, who give us our Shastra, who give us our spiritual connection. All these personalities, even in the material world, it is important to respect our teachers, right? They may be drawing salaries in our schools and things like that, but let us go and then respect for them, because if they are not taking that austerity to teach us, to train us in tuitions and things like that, we would have not learned these material subjects today. So our life should be full of gratitude, always expressing gratitude for someone who's helped us. And the culmination, that means the togetherness of all this gratitude should be offered to Lord Krishna in our life. That is what is most important to learn. Right? So we learn gratitude, selfless gratitude from mother's love. And that's what Uttara is demonstrating here. Okay? Sounds good? Okay. Now we'll do one sloka, that is 8.11 alone, and then we'll stop. Then we will see what has actually happened. Okay? Sutavacha upadharya vachastasya Bhagavan bhakta vatsalah apandavam idam kartum draune astram abudhyate. See, Drauni is son of Dronacharya. And look at it, Krishna is called Bhagavan Bhakta Vatsala. Bhakta Vatsala means one who loves his devotees, he cares for his devotees and protects his devotees. Right? Now, look at it. It says, Apandavam idam kartum. So, Apandavam means, it is Pandavam. Apandavam means, this Drauni fired an arrow so that the entire dynasty should be without Pandavas, or the entire dynasty of Pandavas should be eradicated. So he saw that one womb, that embryo is still existing, that also has to be eradicated. So hence he fired the Brahmastra again. Right? Translation. So the Goswami said, having patiently heard her words, Lord Krishna, who is always very affectionate to his devotees, could at once understand that Ashwatthama, the son of Dronacharya, had thrown the Brahmastra to finish the last life in the Pandava family. So that was his aim. So his aim was that no one should exist in the Pandava family. He wants to kill the entire lineage. Right? Can someone read the purport?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Purport. The Lord is impartial in every respect, but still he is inclined towards his devotees because there is a great necessity of this for everyone's well-being. The Pandava family was a family of devotees, and therefore the Lord wanted them to rule the world. That was the reason he vanquished the rule of the company of Duryodhana and established the rule of Maharaja Yudhishthira. Therefore, he also wanted to protect Maharaja Parikshit, who was lying in embryo. He did not like the idea that the world should be without the Pandavas, the ideal family of devotees. Hare Krishna.
Ideal family of devotees. So now it's very simple. Krishna knows that if devotees rule this world will flourish. If Duryodhana ruled this world, there will be agony and pain and things like that. No, go back. Whenever Kamsa ruled, look at the problems. When Hiranyakashipu ruled, look at the problems. When Ravana ruled, look at the problems. When Duryodhana ruled, look at the problems. You see, Krishna doesn't want demons to rule this world. In fact, Prabhupada also tells in his lecture that devotees should take key positions in the government because they can come with government policies that will enhance one's devotion to the Supreme Lord, or implementation of Varnashrama system will happen. Prabhupada had that desire. Right? So from this you can see that if the leader, Yudhishthira, is God conscious, then what happens? All the living entities in this kingdom will also percolate the same mood of the leader, and they'll also become God conscious. If the whole society and the kingdom is God conscious, that will please the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and that will lead to, Vaikuntha existence within this material world. That will be the mood here. Right? So Krishna wanted this to happen. So what did he do? He put this great plan and reinstated Yudhishthira Maharaj, who is considered to be one of the greatest virtuous king and the greatest devotees of the Lord, to take care of the living entities. Right? So Lord wants the devotees to rule the world. If Parikshit is not going to exist, who's going to hear? Who's going to rule? Who's going to be a virtuous king here? And how will Bhagavatam manifest? So there are many reasons why Parikshit has to be existing. Because of that, Krishna decided to protect Parikshit. Now, look at the scenario. Krishna, before the war, he took the vow that I will not take my weapon. Right? But Krishna broke the vow once for the pleasure of his devotee Bhishma Dev. Okay? Now again you will see Krishna breaks that vow for the pleasure of his own devotees, Pandavas. Right? So when this weapon comes, Krishna took his Sudarshan Chakra to defend or to protect the huge radiation that's going to come out of the Brahmastra and to cause the killing of the embryo. So again, Krishna is ready to say, oh, Krishna, you don't have moral values, Krishna. You keep breaking your promise. That's what the people is going to blame Krishna. He says, I'm ready to take that blame, but for the honor and the greatness of my devotees. So you see how Krishna is called Bhakta Vatsala. Right? So that's how Bhagavatam purports are so brilliant, and they explain and give all these meanings to us. Right? When we read Bhagavatam with such a consciousness, we understand it's the real mood of the author, the mood of the Lord, the mood of devotees. And that will sit in our heart. By every day reading Bhagavatam, every day will nourish the consciousness. And I'm sure Antakale Chamameva, Smaran Mukto Kalevam will happen. At the time of our death, we will remember the Lord. We will remember the Lord's pastimes. We will remember the Lord's glories. We will remember Lord's prayers. And we will go back to his lotus feet. That is the goal of life. Okay? So I will end today's session here, and let us take any questions if we have.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu, Dandavat Pranams, Prabhu. When exactly this Garbhadana Samskara people should do, Prabhu?
Hare Krishna. Am I audible?
Yes, Prabhu. Now you are audible, Prabhu.
Okay. So now I'm done for today's class, and we can open the table for questions.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I asked this when exactly we should advise people to do this Garbhadana Samskara, Prabhu?
Mataji, there are two steps to this Garbhadana Samskara. The first step is, once our children are married, they should be taught about Krishna consciousness. Okay? And they should be made to practice to read, like books like Ramayana, Srimad Bhagavatam, or Krishna book. I mean, all these books, they must be made to learn. Even if they don't go through a systematic learning, even if they learn them in the form of stories, it is still acceptable, because the first level of consciousness need to be built, right? So we have to do that. Now, once we do that, So once we do that, then what happens? There is a tendency, or there is a consciousness where they will accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Right? And that is most important. If someone reads Bhagavad Gita without accepting Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then the Bhagavad Gita will not help that person. So that is the first requirement. Now, once someone gets married, if they are not devotees, what they should do? They should be given small samples of like Ramayana, like these itihasas, so that they get to the subject matter of Krishna consciousness. Then the day will come when they want to do progeny. Progeny means they will unite to produce children. At that time, you should prepare their consciousness by following this Garbhadana Samskara. The parents should teach them, just because you're married, don't just unite like horses and dogs and cats and then produce children. No. Teach them these principles very clearly. Teach them the rules of the Shastra so that they unite at the right time, right consciousness to produce good Vaishnava children. So, When they're ready, sometimes, they'll get married and say, we don't want children for 2 years because we have some duties to perform, etc. All those things are acceptable. But when they're ready, they should have a discussion with the parents, and this Garbhadan Samskara must be practiced. So that is when a pure soul enters the womb of the mother and a great Vaishnava child is produced.
Thanks, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Dandavat.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
We have
Yes,
Prabhu.
Prabhuji, Ashwatthama actually had his all powers removed after the money was removed from his head, no, Prabhu, when Arjuna shaved off his head. So, but still, how he was able to fire the second Brahmastra, Prabhu, to kill Parikshit Maharaj in the womb, Prabhu?
Okay, so that's a misconception all of you have. Now let's look at what was removed from him. By removing the shika out of his head, it tells that you are no more qualified Brahmana, you are a degraded Brahmana, and that is what it symbolizes. So people will laugh at him. Like, oh, you're not even a Brahmana, you're like this. Okay. That is the significance of removal of shika. The removal of the gem from him removes off his powers of Chiranjeevi. Okay, there are two kinds of Chiranjeevi. Chiranjeevi means it's got two dimensions. First, they live for a very long period of time. Second, during that time, let's say someone chops their hand, the hand will regrow. Okay, they live healthy, they live nicely for that long period of time. That's what Chiranjeevi means. Here, what happens once the jewel is removed, all his potency of Chiranjeevi comes down. That means he may live for a long life, but if he's attacked with a disease or anything, that he has to live with that for that long period of time. That's what it is. Okay. Now, Brahmastra, firing of the Brahmastra requires Shastric knowledge. Okay. The Guru empowers a student by teaching him the mantra of Brahmastra. Okay. By chanting the Brahmastra, one can invoke the Brahmastra and fire. That does not have any connection between his jewel or anything. So, for example, Arjuna never had a jewel. Arjuna never had this vara of Chiranjeevi, but still he had able to fire Brahmastra, right? So Brahmastra is no connection to these things. Brahmastra is clearly Shastric knowledge. One who's trained under a guru, who's learned and practiced, he can do. So that's what he did.
Clear, Prabhu. I actually misunderstood with the Karna context with his incident, with the episode of Karna getting punished by, cursed by Parshuram for his not telling him the truth. So I just got confused there. Now it's clear, Prabhu. Now it's clear.
That's clear, right? Okay, good.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes.
You said Krishna broke the vow 2 times. What is the first time? When was the first time, Prabhu?
So the first time is Bhishma decided to fire many arrows, almost threatening to kill Arjuna. And Bhishma wanted to experience that Virya Rasa of Lord. So in the battlefield, when Bhishma fought very fiercely, almost killing Arjuna, so Krishna said, hey, this is too much. If I don't act now, you will kill my disciple Arjuna. So what did Krishna do? He took the wheel of the chariot and went charging towards Bhishma Dev to kill him, right? When Bhishma saw that beautiful form of the Lord carrying the wheel of the chariot, coming and showing his Virya Ras, and that's what he enjoyed. And then he offers prayers to Lord Krishna, right? So that's the first time this happens. I'm just making it very brief for you. Okay. Do you have any more questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji.
This last class, there is at Dronacharya Guru, he heard that Ashwatthama is killed in the war. But suddenly he took seriously and he left his body. But he's Chiranjeevi, no, Prabhu.
Dronacharya is not Chiranjeevi.
No. Prabhu, son.
See, this is what is called as attachment. Okay. Now, even though he knows, okay, still that fear exists in this material world at all times for one who doesn't take shelter of the Supreme Lord. Right? Tasmad Bharata Sharvatma Bhagavan Ishvaro Hari Shrotavya Kirtitavyascha Smartavyascha Chatabhayam. So what does Krishna say? Smartavyascha Chatabhayam. One who remembers me, one who remembers my instructions, one who remembers my pastimes and activities, for him fear will never come. That is the difference between devotee and non-devotee. Why were all the Gopakumaras fearless even though there were continuous demons being attacked in Vrindavan? Because they kept on hearing the pastimes of the Lord. They kept on taking shelter of Nanda Maharaj, who kept on describing about the pastimes of the Lord. So you see, by hearing the pastimes of the Lord, by being a devotee, by practicing devotion, one can remove all fears in one's life. Dronacharya took the platform of more of jnana rather than path of devotion. Because he took path of jnana, he was considered a guru who acclaimed himself with great knowledge, with so much of spiritual potency in terms of these military arts and weapons and things like that. So, even though he knew he was a great warrior, and Dronacharya himself cannot be killed in the war unless he decided to leave by himself, right? With all these things in place, still he had the fear, oh, my son would have got killed. So he had fear, he had attachment for his son. Even though his son was doing all immoral things, he knew that even before the war, he still supported him. So fear, attachment caused the biggest pain for Dronacharya to suffer in this manner.
But Ashwatthama is a Chiranjeevi, no, Prabhu, that time.
Yeah, because of attachment, that thing that doesn't come into your heart. The illusion takes over you.
What is the wonderful verse you just recited about attachment and bhayam, Prabhu?
It is there in chapter 1 or 2. I think chapter 2. I can send that verse to Prabhu.
Please, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhu. Very wonderfully narrated, Prabhu. Especially.
Okay. So it's 7:15. So we can end the class. I hope today you all got nourished with Srimad Bhagavatam. And we'll continue to read. From the next class, we'll be starting with Kunti prayers. Kunti prayer starts from the 18th sloka onwards. So we completed 11. So 12th sloka to 18th, we will just talk about what happened, how Krishna protected the womb of Uttara or the embryo of Uttara, how Krishna protected. And then because he protected, Kunti was overwhelmed with grief. She could not control herself. She offered her prayers to the Supreme Lord. So now, so far we have seen 3. First we saw the first prayer offering in Srimad Bhagavatam we saw was Arjuna. Arjuna offered prayers. Right? When did he offer prayers? When Brahmastra was coming, fired by Ashwatthama, he offered first set of prayers to Krishna. Okay, we saw that. Then we saw prayers offered by Uttara to protect my son. So she offered prayers to Krishna. Now you'll see third set of prayers offering by Kunti Maharani in glorification of Krishna. So you will see these prayers. Now we have this initiative where we're going to document these prayers in the respective slokas, and documents will keep coming out. We want each of you to mug up these prayers. So what's the plan? I want to tell you this plan very clearly. Why we want to mug up these prayers? Now all prayers, be it Arjuna, Uttara, Kunti, like we'll see many prayers now. Prayers of Dhruva, prayers of Chitraketu, prayers of Brahma, prayers of Shiva, prayers of the gopis, like that we'll see all these prayers. Now, we want you to mug up all these prayers, not you, including me. Mug up all these prayers, including their meaning. Now, what shall we do? We'll recite this on a regular prayer. So what will happen? At the time of our death, one day death will come. At this time, all these prayers will be fully registered in our heart. We can just go on reciting these prayers in glorification of the Lord and make our life wonderfully successful, surrender to the Lord. Okay? Sounds good as a plan?
Yes, Prabhu. Very nice.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. So we've made a team under, we've asked the requested Rani Mataji to form a team, and she's made it. And now we're going to make chapter-wise documents. In that, we'll have prayers completely sectioned out with bold and things like that. And we will regularly practice these prayers. So we will remember all these prayers at any point in time. You go to temple tomorrow, you go to Ram Lalla temple at Ayodhya, you can offer these prayers. You go to Vrindavan, you can offer these prayers, wherever. So that's how we want to become. So we want to learn these prayers nicely and then practice. So that's the first step that I'm putting now. I hope you all will cooperate for this. Okay? Okay. Thank you all so much. Have a wonderful day. Grandraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila
Jai.
Prabhupada ki jai. Gurudev ki jai.
Jai.
Nityanande. Vancha Patarubhyascha Kripasindhubhyeva cha Putranam Padmebhyo
वैष्णवेभ्यो
Namo
नमो नमः।
Anta Koti
कोटि
Vaishnava
वैष्णव वृंद की जय।
Matat Prabhupada ki jai.
की जय।
Om Tat Sat.
ओम तत्सत। हरे
Thank
कृष्ण
you.
प्रभु जी, दंडवत प्रणाम।
Hare Krishna, Dandavat
Hare
Pranam.
Krishna Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare
Hare
Krishna Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु दंडवत प्रणाम।
Hare Krishna Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Pranam Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Dandavat.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavata Pranam Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Dandavat Pranam.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु दंडवत प्रणाम प्रभु।
Hare Krishna.